完璧などありえない。この世界は不完全。だから美しい。
バカ。
俺は海賊王になる。
なんて美味しさなの。
力を渡した時に言ったことを覚えているかい？くれ。違う、そこじゃない。
変態。遅い。
Hello and welcome to More Than Hentai, a podcast that is here to show you that anime is far more than just tentacles and catgirls. There's also countless stories of love, loss, laughs, hope, horror, and happiness that are just dying to be found. And I, Brendan White, the Salt and Pepper Senpai, am here to help you find them. More Than Hentai is proudly powered by Audio Technica and our friends over at Dash Water. So get your audio game and hydration game upgraded today. And joining me on this episode is a family man who is as authentic as they come and may or may not be Batman, who are not putting out literal fires, can be found creating art or helping people find themselves via his role as an identity coach. You can also find him creating genuine, engaging, and thought-provoking discussion on his podcast, Authentic On Air, which you should check out the second you're done listening to this latest episode of More Than Hentai. From an anime standpoint, he's been quoted saying that anime is life and calls Attack on Titan, My Hero Academia, Black Clover, One Punch Man, Dragon Ball Super, Aoashi, and God of High School as some of his personal favorites. You can check him out via his Linktree, which is /Authentic On Air. Bruce Alexander, welcome to the studio, my friend. How might you be doing?
I'm doing great, Brendan. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for that great plug right off the bat.
Well, I didn't really do much. I just sort of took a little bit of history and research about yourself, and you know your story and your life speaks for itself. I just put it into some words and then spat it into a microphone. So I guess I'd say thank you for making it so easy for me to frame the man, the myth, the legend that is Bruce Alexander. So thank you so much for joining me here on More Than Hentai. You're our first international guest on the show, so it's great to have you here. We did have some time zone issues that created some scheduling conflicts. That is 100% on me, so I'm again sorry about that, but I appreciate you taking some time out of your Saturday afternoon to join me here at the studio. But man, let's jump in. Let's talk about who you are, what you do, because you're a very multifaceted individual. You have lived quite the life up until now, and you're doing a lot of very interesting things that I'm sure not only myself but our listeners would love to hear more about. So the floor is yours, man. Give us the elevator pitch. Give us the Bruce Alexander story.
Ooh. Yeah, the Bruce Alexander story in 2 minutes or less. I did spend almost 10 years as a firefighter. I left that job because I did not find myself very happy doing it. It was not meant for me. I started doing the fire department because, for one, it did provide a career that does eventually pay pretty well, and provided a life for me to be able to take care of my family, which is something that is me. But my father and my cousin were both firefighters, and they told me that this is the job you've got to do. It's great. It was not great for me. I hated it, mostly because I didn't fit in there. And that struggle to find a place to fit in, to try to make myself be one of those people, kind of led me on my journey to finding out who I really am and who I really want to be. And that led me into my authentic philosophy, in which I try to really show up as myself in every situation without letting things change me. Now, does that mean that there aren't different levels of me? No, of course there are. Of course, there's going to be a situation which I give every single part of myself to it, and then some things I'm gonna hold back because not everybody deserves all of me. That's something that it took me a while to figure out. And as I did my research, started to do a lot of self-work, became kind of really almost obsessed with the idea of being authentic, I found that I was kind of stepping into a purpose I didn't realize I had. I felt like all these experiences I've been through where I'd failed horribly because I'd showed up as somebody I wasn't, it could be, serve as a lesson to other people to help them avoid those pitfalls. And so now I'm an authenticity and identity coach where I try to help people leapfrog all the bullshit that I went through of, living a fake life, pretending to be content, doing all these different things, which belied who I really was and really robbed me of my power as a unique individual. And now I help people claim that and, really avoid the years and years of depression that I lived through trying to be somebody different.
I love that, man. And I think that's some very powerful stuff that a lot of people I feel would be resonating with immediately. Like we're so indoctrinated at such an early age these days through media and through family and just general social status and situations where we're growing up expecting to do certain things by a certain time point. You get married, you have kids, you want the white picket fence, you go into this form of employment because your family did or whatever it might be, and you just feel that your life is on this set path or you're on rails, but it's not the case at all. Like, you got freedom of choice, and life is short and unpredictable, and you need to do whatever it is to make yourself happy and feel fulfilled. So I think being comfortable in your own skin is something that everybody struggles with, like nerves and the need to wear a mask or play a certain role in a situation where you're in a work meeting, you're at a social event, whatever it might be. That there's so many things where we feel we need to adjust and change to. But I like that you're out there empowering people to be their authentic self, because that's something that a lot of people, not saying it in a mean way, but there is a lot of lacking of authenticity in a lot of situations you have. There's a lot of surface level stuff that doesn't really have much substance when you have these interactions and discussions with people. You go, man, like, you're really just checking a box here, aren't you? Whether it be in a work meeting or you're going to a birthday party or something, and it never gets beyond the top level. You don't really get into the nice, gooey, intimate, emotional discussion and sort of thought process. It's just, hey, I'm Brendan, great to meet you, even though you, in the back of your mind, you're like, man, this guy's a dickhead. Like, it's not great to meet you at all, but you play the role, and you need to do that in some situations. You just can't call everybody dickheads, but like being comfortable in your own skin is something I feel that we have to work on every day. Like, there's days where you probably feel like you're bigger than King Kong, and then there's other times when you feel like you're the size of Mighty Mouse, and it varies minute to minute, day by day. But I guess the lessons that you're using to empower people to just feel comfortable, and also feel comfortable in feeling not comfortable, I'm assuming would be a big thing too. Like, feeling that feeling of discomfort is a good thing in life, because it usually relates to then you're growing, you're changing, you're adapting, because you're in these unfamiliar situations that you don't really enjoy, but you're going to learn and take a lot of good from.
Well, and I think that one of my guiding principles is self-awareness. It's, being able to realize when you don't feel comfortable and figure out why you're uncomfortable, and then lean into that thing. Because likely, for me, I can speak for me on this situation. Whenever I feel uncomfortable in a situation, it's because I'm wanting to hide something. I'm wanting to pull back away, and because I'm afraid somebody's going to judge something about me, or they're not going to accept me, or I'm going to having this whole internal that's saying you better hide. And now what I've started to do, what I encourage other people to do, is when you get that feeling to hide, tell the truth instead. Say, like if I'm talking about coming onto this podcast, if I was nervous starting it early on, I would have said, man, I just want to let you know I'm really nervous. Like, this is my first time being on a bigger podcast, and I'm afraid I'm going to fuck this up. And and instead of like letting that whole thing run through my head the entire time we were having a conversation, you being like, this dude is totally checked out. Like, he doesn't even want to be here, whenever really I'm just so hyper paranoid I'm going to fuck it up. You're going to say, oh, yeah, I've had that feeling before. Like, I totally understand that, dude. This is going to be totally okay. It's no different than anything you've ever done before. And you're like, I'm going to give you the information and the opportunity to meet me where I'm at. And most times, most good people are going to take the opportunity and help you along. To some degree, they're going to give you some help and help you move forward in that situation. And you're going to find your comfort level, and you're going to do the thing, and it's going to be awesome. But you got to give them that opportunity by being authentic.
Yeah, like you don't know what you don't know, and that's the thing. Like, this was our first sort of face-to-face interaction, I guess we could say. Like, we've chatted a little bit on through social media, and you can lose or misinterpret context and motivation and sort of that emotional feeling through text. So unless you jump on and you are your open self, you're never going to get that true read, and I appreciate that, because I want to work with good people in all aspects of my life and have good conversation, and getting down to that brass tacks straight away, where it's like, man, I'm not feeling good about this, or I'm unsure about that. Like, being open and vulnerable is such a good thing to have in your toolkit. Like, just, there's nothing wrong, or it's not weak to speak up and sort of say, hey, I need some validation here. I'm feeling X, Y because of this. Because like you said, if for the most part, you're having a discussion with a good person, they're going to help elevate you up, and also, you know, talk around that and work out a way to have you feeling comfortable, a little bit more secure in what you're doing. So yeah, just got to be open. Like, there's nothing wrong with saying you don't know everything.
Yeah, an important part to that though is I make sure to coach people to be able to handle it whenever they don't, though, because sometimes
Mm-hmm.
people are not going to help you along. They're not going to accept the thing you put out there, but that's okay because you no longer have to hold on to it anymore. You put it out there. It is for the general consumption of the universe, and whatever they put back out to you, if it's not something that is nurturing that authentic self, you don't have to take it. Like, it doesn't, that doesn't belong to you. Just because they put it out there and tried to put it on you, it doesn't belong to you. You don't have to take it. And that's something that, especially here in America, is very common, is that people want to take on every opinion that people have of them and make it, you know, as part of their skin. And it's not. It's all a perception, and that opinion can be just a passing thing that just comes and goes if you let it.
I love that. Yeah, like yeah, don't give unnecessary situations or unnecessary people power. Is the main thing. Like you said, you've thrown out your feelings out into the ether, and yeah, you can't control how that's interpreted on the other side, but at least you've released that out into the wilderness, and then you can sort of move forward and do your thing. Yep. And we're going to be doing our thing here on this episode of More Than Hentai, and I'm very excited to be talking anime with you as well. But I thought we could sort of narrow that sort of Bruce Alexander lens a little bit and maybe get your backstory on anime. How did you sort of find this fantastic Japanese product that everyone seems to love and not always talk about? So give us the upbringing. When did you first fall in love with the medium? Like I mentioned, some of the IP you liked, some recent, some a little bit more nostalgic. So yeah, tell us about your journey into anime.
Yeah, sure. Like I was telling you before we started recording, is that me and my brother used to watch Dragon Ball Z whenever it made its first like big popular run in America. And, you know, at this time I was like 10 or 11 years old, and I didn't realize that's what anime was. Like, those were just cartoons. I was watching that. I was watching Digimon. I was watching Yu-Gi-Oh! And all those things to me were just Saturday morning cartoons or Sunday morning cartoons. And so whenever I got a little older, and, you know, maybe early college, like late high school, people started talking about anime, and I was like, oh, that's for nerds, right? And because I was this person who was trying so hard to be not a nerd, that I completely pushed away everything that fell into that genre, even though turns out I was a nerd and I did love all those things. Once I started to accept myself, I started to find that, hey, it's okay to just like whatever you like. You know, you don't have to fall into any, you know, specific genre just because you like something. And so as I was getting much, much older, I was, it became like a real, like, deep love and fascination whenever it was probably about 5-6 years ago. I started watching One Punch Man while I was studying, like I was studying to promote in the fire department. And I just I got really hooked on this one anime, and I was like, this is anime. I don't know why. I don't know what I thought anime was. Like, I'd watched it, you know, my stepdad watched it whenever, you know, I was in high school, and I'd seen a couple of different instances of anime, and I was like, I was like, this is boring. Like, I thought Cowboy Bebop was boring. I thought Samurai Champloo was boring. And it turns out, I know. I thought that. I think
my heart.
I turn it all back around to the fact that I was trying so hard to be 10 foot tall and bulletproof that I didn't want to let anything affect me. Like, I didn't want anybody to be able to tell me this thing that I would like, because it's like, no, only I know what I like, and because I like cool stuff. And like, going back, like, Cowboy Bebop is, you know, top 15 for me now. Samurai Champloo is like not at all boring, and I don't know why I thought that. It was like, you know, once again, it was just that disconnect between, you know, allowing yourself to really enjoy something and trying to, like, you know, look like you enjoy cool things. And so once I really got into One Punch Man, the kind of walls just tumbled down, and I just started immersing myself. And, you know, after that, it was My Hero and Attack on Titan, which Attack on Titan, the first time I watched it, honestly kind of scared the shit out of me. Like, I was like, this is so intense. Like, the amount of emotional entanglement mixed with the graphics, and then the super creepy, like, you know, giant human baby people, like, was just, it was such an intense experience that I was like, I didn't know a show could do this. Like, and it wasn't my favorite thing always. Like, I did like it, but it was like, that's a lot. I can only watch one or two of those episodes, and I got to turn that off. Well, meanwhile, I'll watch like 10 episodes a row of, My Hero Academia. And so, anyways, as I got through those, I just really started to enjoy it. And my son would always come sleep in my bedroom and, pretend like he was asleep and would be watching My Hero Academia, like through his pillow or whatever. And so then they started to get interested, and I, decided to find appropriate animes to watch with my family. And My Hero was a little bit on the edge of it, but we ended up watching that together, and we watched Dragon Ball Super together. And so I watch it with my kids and my family right now. Me and my older two are watching Sword Art Online, which I've seen before, but I was like, this is the next one I'm going to introduce you guys to. And I just love anime so much, and I love it as a family experience, and I also love it as that soothing friend whenever you've had a tough day. It's like me and anime just kick it and just kind of put an end to the night and put everything to bed, and it's always there for you.
That's a perfect way to describe anime, and I love that you mentioned not only the solo viewing experience but also the family experience surrounding it as well. Like, there is something for literally everybody. If you want something that's a little bit more safe and accessible that you can watch with your kids or your partner or your friends or your dog or your cat or whatever, there's something available in that realm. But then if you want something that's a little bit more intense or intimate or freaky or unsettling, like it is there. Like, you can run from one end to the next in the overall anime gamut and find whatever you're looking for, whatever you're craving at that moment. You could search it on Crunchyroll, Funimation, My Anime List, wherever you're hunting for your anime or your anime info, and it will be there, and you can have a good a time as you want. And that's the best thing about this genre. Like, we talk a lot on this podcast about, if you can dream it, it is there in anime or in manga form. And yeah, no matter what you're craving at any time of the day, you can consume it and have a good time. And yeah, you mentioned a couple of the pillars there. Like, I can respect the Deku shirt you're rocking at the moment. I can only see the top half of it, but I know that set of hair. It's very distinctive. It's fantastic. Oh, that's a great shirt.
It says that wasn't very plus ultra.
It's so good. It's so good. And yeah, Deku's got the glass on. He's looking very badass.
Yeah.
And yeah, My Hero, like, it's great. Like, that was the most recent episode we tackled on this podcast, and I went back and was doing a rewatch, and it actually surprised me a little bit that it does jump so early on in this show as far as family friendly, accessible to kids, to then it's like, oh, there's some sort of, sexual suggestiveness here and some references to suicide and death and things like that. And you're like, whoa, I don't remember this. Like, obviously jumping now into the 6th season, it's a big tonal shift because the kids are growing up, the world's getting darker and darker and more evil, but it's a journey that, you can take solo or with family and friends, but just being mindful that, that sort of sensitivity level can jump up pretty quickly going from season to season, and it could be a little jarring for some of the young kiddos out there, that's for sure.
I definitely suggest pre-watching any anime before you watch it with your family, just because you can get on here in America, there's Common Sense Media. I don't know if you guys have it there, but they'll give like parental warnings, and sometimes like what you want for your family can be something completely different than the people who've reviewed this movie, this anime, this whatever. And I think it's really important to just, like, to me, I don't like, violence is not something I'm afraid of my kids, like, taking on and like putting back out into this world, because they're not those kinds of kids. That's not who they are. But as on the other hand, it's like, there are inappropriate situations that they're just not old enough to take in yet. So I want to view that and make sure it's like, okay, is this mostly appropriate? Are these jokes going to either go over their head, or are they appropriate enough to handle? And that's something I encourage, because I would hate for somebody to like have a bad taste in their mouth for anime because they just trusted some review and then their kids saw something that they did not want them to see.
Yeah, that's it. And the storytelling, like, there can be some subtle context, like I guess comparing the Eastern animation to, say, Western, like if we just go like the biggest of them all with like The Simpsons, it's a show that's accessible to kids, but there is some tone or themes or context that can go over their heads, but you and I will detect those in jokes or those references. So there is always a fine line that the Eastern audience and animation style and anime treads, but sometimes it's as subtle as a sledgehammer at the same time. They don't usually hold back. So there is some things where it is very front and center. You're like, whoa, this is a little jarring, or this is a little uncomfortable right now, depending on who you're watching with.
Absolutely.
But it's funny you mentioned the gore and the violence, because I guess listeners, if this is your first time stopping on by More Than a Hentai, the context and the way we tackle this podcast is each episode we bring a new anime to the table that either the co-host and or myself are yet to watch. We do a deep dive on that first episode just to get a bit of an understanding of the show itself. Did we enjoy it? The pros, the cons, everything else in between. We do go full spoiler for that first episode, so nothing is off limits for episode 1. If we have watched beyond episode 1, we will not spoil any major plot points or any major twists and turns. We keep all that on lockdown, so we're not going to ruin the anime as a whole, but we're just sort of looking at that pilot episode, you could say, or that first episode, and talking about is it good, is it bad, is it somewhere in between, and sort of we make a decision on the anime that we're going to be focused on, typically based off a questionnaire that I've had Bruce sort of fill out just to get a little bit of a feeling and understanding as far as what he enjoys with anime, if there's anything he's been looking for, see if there's some recommendations that he's sort of sought out that he hasn't yet consumed. Then we sort of land on that anime and deep dive from there. And it's funny because in your questionnaire, there's no checkboxes tied to horror, gore, and violence, and yet the anime in question today sort of falls in and around that subset. So it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, I was a little worried going into it. Just because like I don't tend to go towards the horror genre. I don't tend to in October. Me and my wife have a rule in October, which is where you guys have Halloween too. I'm pretty sure
We do.
So in the month of October is the only time we watch spooky movies. Like whenever we were young and first together, we used to watch A Nightmare on Elm Street and Jason. And at some point after having kids, our nerves just got shot, and we just thought we just could not handle watching scary movies
Kids
at
do
all
that
anymore.
to you.
They do. And so, but in October, we the rule is on October we'll watch scary movies for that month, and for some reason it's okay. And so I was like, it's October, and if it's scary, then I'll be fine, because the nerves just kind of fortify for this 1 month, and luckily it didn't need it too much.
I love that. I love that you sort of have just sort of locked the spooky, scary, gory, viewing habits into a month-long period. And I feel that would make those things you watch or the content you consume probably hit and resonate even more. It would have more impact, because you're waiting 11 months of the year until you have spooky, creepy, scary season upon you. And now it's here, and all the stuff you'll be watching, I reckon it's going to be scarier, gorier, more freaky, and all of those other great adjectives to describe what's going on. So I love that idea.
Yeah, and I get to the point now to where I look forward to October, because it's okay, there's all these movies I've been kind of putting on my list throughout the years. As soon as October comes around, I'm going to watch that, because I don't want to watch it in my everyday life, because it's too stressful. But for some reason, as soon as this month hit, I was like, let's do it.
Yeah, October is just the month of stress and fear. So I know it's not anime centric, but what have you got on your short list as far as your movies you got to watch during the month of October?
So there are classics that we watch every year. We watch Halloween every year because it's Halloween. We usually try to watch 1 or 2 different Stephen King movies, sometimes something new, sometimes The Shining. We watched Doctor Sleep, but unfortunately that put me to sleep. And that I know, and it wasn't because of the movie. Sometimes the more exciting a movie is, if I'm tired at all, the excitement actually puts me to sleep. It is the weirdest thing. My wife's like, oh my God. And she looks at me and I'm just like, and I don't understand why that happens. The year before last, I slept through all of October, because every time we put on a scary movie, I'm like, yeah, I'm super excited. And I would just pass out a quarter of the way into it. And
I love that. So the overstimulation just burns you out, where you're just so hyped and so on edge, and you're like, I'm crashing hard now. Sorry,
I'm like a toddler. I just, I get all hyped up, and I'm just like, ooh, time to go to bed.
Oh, that's so great. Well, hopefully you didn't fall asleep during the viewing of the first episode. And our title in focus here on More Than Hentai is Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead. And it is a comedy horror manga series written by Haro Aso and illustrated by Kotaro Takada. It has been serialized in Shokugan's monthly Sunday Gene X since October of 2018, with its chapters collected into 15 tankobon volumes as of September of 2023. An anime television series adaptation produced by Bug Films premiered in July of 2023, with 9 episodes currently available on both Crunchyroll and Netflix. And also a live action film adaptation has also landed on Netflix as of August of 2023. Yeah, I didn't know that, and I haven't seen it yet. I don't know if it's region capped on Netflix, but I got to go back and see because I'm hella curious about that. It's like a 2.5 hour movie, and if it nails the context and the theme of the manga and the anime, I'm in, because I think it's going to be fun to watch.
I'm kind of scared that, like, I don't want them to ruin that, because I really enjoyed the show. Like, I think it was it was a sleeper for sure. So I don't know. They've got some movies on there. They did a oh my gosh, Full Blood. Oh my god, Brotherhood.
Full Metal Alchemist.
Yes, Full Metal Alchemist. They did a movie of that was live action. And I watched 10 minutes of that, and I was like, I can't. Like, this is not good.
Yeah, some of the anime that gets translated to live action should never happen. Like, some of it is done well, but it is more often than not done average or badly. And so I'm hesitant with Zom 100. I'll peek it and see if it's any good. But right now, the 9 episodes that are out are Chef's Kiss, and Zom 100, it currently holds a score of 8.08 on my anime list, and that's based off 83,000 different user reviews.
Wow.
And the story of Zom 100 is as follows. After graduating from a top university, Akira Tendo has landed his dream job. On top of that, a beautiful and kind coworker always brightens his day in the office. Life seems to be going very well for Akira until he slowly realizes that sleepless nights and brutal work are his new reality. Due to 3 years of mind-numbing labor in an exploitative company, Akira is unable to recognize the tired, unaccomplished person he has become. On track to losing all passion in life, like several of his overworked colleagues, Akira finds his saving grace in the most unexpected way possible: the breakout of a zombie apocalypse. With the free time he finally has, Akira decides to complete a bucket list of 100 things he wants to do before he eventually gets turned into a zombie. Although he is surrounded by the dead, Akira has never felt more alive. So, Bruce, we're going to be tackling the first episode, which is titled Akira of the Dead. Where do you want to start things off? We can go beat by beat from that really cool, cold open that sort of sets one tone and expectation, then pivots, or we can just jump into wherever you feel comfortable in leading off this Zom 100 based journey. So it's where you want to start, man.
So I'll kick it off at the very first frame, in which it opens on that memento mori on the brick wall, like the spray painting on there. Memento mori is something that I'm familiar with because, like, I'm a fan of The Weeknd. He has an album called Memento Mori, and I was like, so I did some research into it before, but it's really interesting as them kind of giving a foreshadowing as to what was going to be happening in this show, because it means in Latin for remember that you have to die. Like, and so that can be taken many different ways, but mainly in one or two ways. Like, it can be kind of nihilistic and just like, we all die at some point, so why does it all matter? Or it can be like, you're going to die, so make the most of your life. And I think that we get to know Tendo in a way which he is the second. And I think it really set it up beautifully, just right out of the open.
It really did. Like, the open, it hooked me and engrossed me. I love that you explained the background of Memento Mori, because I had to Google as well. I'm like, I've seen that somewhere. And I didn't click until you just said The Weeknd. I'm like, hey, I was jamming and I saw that on his album cover. It makes more sense now. But like, I love that subtle reference at the beginning, where I'd say maybe 90% of the viewers, it would have just went over their head and they were just like, whoa, there's this guy getting chased and there's blood and death and viscera and people getting eaten everywhere. And it starts with these beautiful shots where this man is panicked and he's running through this cityscape, and we're transitioning from really close, tight shots on his face and his eyes showing the duress and the strain, to then sprawling back out to these big, like, sort of floating, rolling city shots, and you can see the city's in disrepair, and there's explosions and fire and death and bad things happening all over the place. and I'm like, whoa, this is cool. Feels like it's going to be dark. Is this like the anime version of like The Walking Dead or something? And I'm like, this has got a pretty heavy sort of lead in. And then it transitions back, and that's where we meet Akira Tendo for the first time. And he's sitting in his living room watching a zombie movie, zombified himself, and he's eating noodles, and it's like 4 a.m. and he's in this zombie-like state, dreading that he has to go to work, and he's watching this zombie movie. And I love the line where he's like, compared to my life in the office, yours sounds like heaven. And that's in reference to the guy that's getting chased and is about to get devoured by zombies. And I'm like, damn, okay, this is fun. I like this sort of juxtaposition that we've got going on here, where he's in a safe, in air quotes, safe, normal society, but he is a zombie to the man, to the machine, and he's trapped in this sort of role that he can't escape from. And he's envious of this person that's about to die. And I'm like, oh, this is dark, but also like resonates probably with a lot of people stuck in the corporate machine.
What I really enjoyed is that they let that zombie scene go on just long enough for you to think, is this the show? Like, is the show going to be like this high intensity zombie, like, chase the entire time? And then as soon as like, I'm just like, just a little uncomfortable, like, man, I didn't realize it's going to be like this. And then it kicks out and you realize that you're inside the movie, and it pulls back out. And like you said, he says that compared to this, your life is, that sounds like heaven or whatever. And I thought that was, it was really indicative of so many people who are kind of the ideal client for me. Like, that is exactly like the person that I'm looking to reach in my business. So I was like, that's funny. Like, Tendo is like, he's kind of my ideal client because he is doing this thing. He's, he would rather be getting eaten by zombies than go back to work because he hates his job so much. And also they did a really, really great cut when they cut from a zombie like eating brains and slurping up a blonde woman's hair to slurping up those noodles. I thought that was like such a genius editing trick because like I have a little bit of editing in my in my skill set, and like I was like, dude, that was so interesting. Like, I love that. So many good things.
the direction frame by frame in this anime is really, really expertly done. The way they sort of transition from shots and jump from a film or a game they're watching or playing to back to, in air quotes, the real world. It's really seamless and very clever. And Kazuki Kawagoe is the director behind this, and he knows what's up. And it's just a visual feast throughout the entirety of this first episode and the future episodes beyond that. But it felt like something that I could relate to. And like you said, like Tendo is the perfect client for authentic identity management, that's for sure. So who knows if there's other people that'll watch this and resonate, and then they can reach out to you and say, hey, can you help me get back on track? Because I'd prefer to be zombified than be working for the man at the moment. Bruce, please help.
Well, Brendan, you might be able to answer this for me. Like, the illustration of this show is one of, like, it's my favorite kind of anime illustration, and like it looked really familiar to me. And like you read off the illustrator, has this illustrator done other animes?
So as far as from the manga side, with Kitaro Takada, who illustrated it, this is sort of his first big manga. But regarding the animation style, like Bug Films, they're sort of a fairly newish studio. They've done 2 sort of co-production / support roles prior to this in 2 of my favorite anime of the last couple of years. So they did some joint work on Summertime Rendering that came out last year, which is stunning. It's available here in Australia on Disney Plus. And the other one that's on Netflix is this really cute, wholesome slice of life called Komi Can't Communicate. So they did some co-production on that, but this is their first lead outing. So Zom 100 is their first go at the big leagues directly by themselves. And straight away, like you said, when I was watching this first episode, it's some of the best animation I've seen in like all year at the very least. Like, it's so distinctive. The character models are great. The way they use color, which we'll talk about in more detail soon, is just so unique. And the contrast between monotone and these pops of neon and vibrancies that they sort of constantly weave in, it's just very clever and it's very smartly done. And a lot of that is on the back of what Haro Aso and Kitaro Takada did with the manga, but translating that to screen has been really, really expertly crafted. It is gorgeous. And you don't often say gorgeous for an anime or a show where you see people getting eaten and ripped apart and blood and viscera flying everywhere, but it is stunning in every frame.
I would say that in most animes, just as a whole, like you don't like gorgeous isn't the word I'd use unless it's like the movies. Like I feel like the movies they really put a lot of resources into creating those. Like My Hero, Two Heroes, like the fight scene with Deku and Bakugo and Nine.
Mm-hmm.
That battle scene was gorgeous. Like it was absolutely beautiful, but you don't really see it like that in like the regular episodes. Like there's some pretty good looking stuff, but like I thought that so for this show, I thought they really put it in. Like it was so good.
Yeah, like I'm a big fan. Bug films, like I didn't really know of them until Zom 100 came out. Like I knew of those two other anime they worked on, which are equally stunning, but there was a little bit more direction from sort of the other studios involved there as well. But yeah, what they've done here with Zom 100, it feels like it's going to really put them on the map and elevate them, because not only this anime is extremely popular this year, it's one of the biggest new anime of 2023, but yeah, it's reviewing well. It's a great watch, and just the story is just fun. I love anytime in any form of medium when they can combine horror and comedy. Like that sort of horror comedy combination is just something that always pleases me very much. And then if you can sort of layer in some dystopian or zombie based vibes in there too and make it work, I'm like, hell yeah. So I was in pretty early from that open, especially. And then we do then get the contextual flashback 3 years where we see a young Akira Tendo very, very happy and feeling good, and he's landed his job, and he can take on the world, like you were saying earlier about 10 feet tall and bulletproof.
Yeah,
that was him in this moment. He struts into the office and he's feeling great and yeah, throwing all his good energy everywhere. And that's where he first bumps into Shiori, the resident cutie that he immediately has a crush for in the office space, and we get one of those cute anime tropey moments where it was just love at first sight, and there's little flower petals flying around them and all that kind of stuff. It was super cute, and I love those types of heartstringy tropes that anime does pretty regularly there. And okay, so there's a bit of a love interest going on in here, there's some zombie going on, there's some quirkiness, but there's also some hyper violence. I'm like, this is treading a lot of lines.
I'll say that that's another thing that anime does, especially for me, is like I don't always so much care for like the kind of cheesy like romantic tropes of like the meet cute and all that. But now that I've kind of fallen in love with anime, I find myself watching entire shows based on like the romantic like entanglement, and I'm just like, who am I? What has happened? But anime, like it takes you to a place where you can just enjoy pretty much anything, and it feels comfortable. Like, I love that about it.
Yeah, and I felt very comfortable. I was already rooting for Tendo. I'm like, yeah, you get the girl, you get the job, onwards and upwards, young fella, you've got this. And
yes.
And then it's all very sunshine and rainbows, and he's meeting the team and everyone's great. And they're like, yeah, we're going to take you out for celebratory drinks after your first day. And it's really good vibes, painting a great picture of this company that he's working for and how great ZLM is, the marketing agency that he's sort of taken a job with. But then the drinks end, and everyone that's at the party like, all right, time to get back to work. And so Tendo's like, what? It's like 10 p.m. What are you talking about? And so they end up going back to work, pulling an all-nighter, and then we get sort of Tendo doing narration over these scenes as it plays out, and he's like, and I finally got home 2 days later. So first day of work, does 2 days straight in the office, then goes back home a broken shell of a man.
I think it was another one of those expert like turn of like momentum, is like everybody, they're getting hammered and having a great time, and they just pull those ID badges out. Like everybody pulls them out, they just like hit their chest, and everybody's demeanor completely changes. And it's just like, who, like of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, all those, like, everybody was having this great time and was really giving him something to be excited about. And as soon as those ID tags came out, everybody just like lost all fervor for life and was like, time to clock back in. And it really just kind of took me back. I was like, wait, what? Like, I thought, I don't know what I really thought, but they convinced me that this was actually a pretty good place to work. But they're going back to work after having a welcome party. Uh-oh, that's not good.
Yeah, and that shot too you mentioned regarding the ID tags come out is framed really well because you've got Tendo in the background enjoying his beer, still having his last sips. And then it's framed where you could see the torso of all these employees and their ID badges all simultaneously fall down and hit on their chest. And you can see his just look of disbelief going, what the hell is happening? Like, this has been the best day of my life. And now I'm going back to work half buzzed. So there was this real sense of confusion and disassociation from him as far as working out what is happening, where he is all of a sudden. Is this real life? And yeah, so we get that situation, 2 days of solid work, finally gets home. And we're getting the sort of conflicting narration going on from Tendo then, where he's like, I hate my job, I want to get out of it. But then he wakes up and pushes through the dread, gives himself another nice, very proactive pep talk. No, I'm going to do this. It's going to be fine. It's going to be great. And he's always like dismissive of the atrocities for his company. He's like, I could work for far worse places. If I leave, it's going to impact badly on the rest of the staff because I have to pick up the slack. So he's always very empathetic and concerned about everyone around himself and not so much himself. He's constantly putting his wants and needs aside for the good of the company and the good of the people that he works with. So
what I had it noted as is pluckiness. Like he's plucky. He has the ability to like look at the situation that he's gotten himself into, which is a really shit one, like, to be honest, and to like reset and completely have a brand new emotional attitude towards. And, he really fully started to sell himself as this is better than I'm making it out to be. And I think that is honestly a valuable skill if you actually remember what you're working towards. Because, like I talk about this all the time because it's my job, is that people are willing to do whatever they can to survive working for somebody else. Like, but whenever you're working for yourself, people are so quick to give up and to, and to like drop the thing that you were striving for because I don't know, it feels safer. You don't have to risk anything whenever you're just like, yeah, of course I'm, sacrificing everything that I enjoy about my life, but I have safety to keep going back to work for this person that I hate. Why wouldn't you be willing to like do that for yourself? Like, so his pluckiness, if he were trying to build his own business or if he were trying to make it as a musician or whatever, him being able to reset like that and say, yeah, yesterday fucking sucked, but I'm going to get back into it today and I'm going to hit it with the same fervor would be an absolute asset. So
I agree. And I think you nailed something here regarding sole traders, people doing their own thing. Like, I guess there's so much more risk. There's also so much more reward should those solo gestures and chance takings succeed. But knowing when you are working for the man in parentheses or the big corporate machine, you know that all that risk has already been played out and it's a stable foundation. The foundation could be made of lava and your legs could be melting and on fire, but at least you've got something to stand on. It's
right.
like, you know what, I can go home and sort of wash and soak my legs and heal them and be back again the next day. So people are very, very, very ignorant in that regards where it's, it's someone else's risk and reward. I'm just here. I get my paycheck. It could be worse. A lot of people are always in that mentality. Like, it could be worse. It's fine. Everything's fine. It's that meme you see of the little dog sitting at the kitchen table and the fire is engulfed the entire kitchen.
This is
like,
fine.
It's fine. Yeah.
This is fine.
Yeah. So that's Tendo here. And pluckiness is the perfect word to describe him in this early state of the job at ZLM. So we get a little bit of a sort of time jump where we transition from year 1 to year 2 and outside of the positive narration and that sort of positive energy that Tendo is sort of conveying, explaining the situation, you're seeing the zombified staff and all their various quotes and how their contrasts to that pluckiness you mentioned is there, where they're sitting around the boardroom and like, oh, you don't know hard work until you start pissing blood. And he's like, well, you pissing blood? Well, I got all these ulcers. Like, it becomes this pissing contest, for lack of a better term, as far as like who's more damaged and who's more broken at this job. And you hear them talking about how much unpaid overtime have you done this week, Timmy? And he's like, I've done 60 hours. And then the other guy's like, well, I've done 200 hours of unpaid overtime this month. Get on my level. So there's this competition of like this unhealthy spiral to the bottom in this in ZLM that's just breeding this horrible mindset and this horrible environment. And it's it's contrasted to Tendo's pluckiness and, like you said, his positive energy. But you can see it starting to eat away at him, bite by bite, like a zombie chewing on a brain.
I don't want to gloss over his dickhead of a boss. Like, his boss is like the worst kind of person, in my opinion. He like, before we get into like the badges of honor of like the 200 hours of overtime or whatever, he's talking about like, stop crying to me about everything. Like, handle it yourself. You made a decision without me. How dare you? Like that. Like, I'm ADHD. And so I feel like I've had that same experience over and over and over again of trying to understand what people want because they said a thing and then I did the thing and then they're mad at me for doing the thing. Like, that was my whole like work experience on a loop.
Mm-hmm.
So that guy, like, I immediately hated him so much.
Yeah, he's a dick. So yeah, his name's Kosugi, and he's the department chief that's in charge of Akira and various other people on the show floor there at this media company. And yeah, the first interaction we get with him is where he's got these conflicting issues where, like you said, make a decision. How dare you make a decision without me? Like, so you're damned if you do, damned if you don't with this guy. And he's berating staff, yelling at them, very violent. People leaving constantly from meetings with him crying and stuff like that. He's a piece of shit for the best way to describe him. So you're starting to see this business and this company is corrupt and disgusting and rotten from the core, like from the top down. It's a bad place to be in. And you see, with Kosugi, the department chief, but then you also see another fleeting interaction between Akira and Saori, the girl that he's crushing on. But then you see further disgusting things going on where they have a cute moment, and then she gets summoned in by this dirty old creepy CEO, and then he just has sex with her in his office, like in front of everybody in a way, because you got the smoked window, so you can see the silhouette, you can hear things, so you know just how fucked up this place is.
Did you watch it in both English and Japanese with the subtitles?
Yes, yeah.
So I did too. And I thought it was really interesting the difference between the English version, which was like very flirtatious and was like very much that she was into it, and in the subtitle version, it was very much like she was resisting. And like both ways, it's a shitty place to work. But like, I don't know, like I kind of felt the way. I was like, the initial intention was like she was kind of resisting this thing, maybe not full out resisting, but it definitely felt like a Me Too situation where this was not appropriate behavior by the CEO, who was definitely using the power dynamic to his advantage.
Yeah, it took me by surprise because my first viewing of this was on the dub, and then I rewatched it yesterday in the sub and the dub version. And yeah, just seeing that different tonal change where, like you said, like either way, you can see that Misatori is not into this, but she's doing it for the sake of keeping her job and keep food on the table. But yeah, seeing that context on the dub was really jarring for me because it changes the tone a lot. Like, it's still an uncomfortable, disgusting situation, but it elevates it to an even worse, abhorrent level on the sub version. Whoa, hang on. I need to rewatch this because did I miss that on the dub? And then I watched it back and I'm like, no, it's the same scene, but just worded completely differently.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like the sub and the dub were pretty similar for the rest of the episode, as far as I could tell. But that one part, and that also kind of, I feel like, would play a little bit into Tendo's like desire to save her, is that, she was resisting that thing. So, I could definitely see how she wouldn't be like damaged goods to him at that point, because she's just doing what she has to do to survive this place, versus in the dub version where she is like very much into the CEO and sounds like, oh yeah, like, oh, they're gonna know, and that's very different than like, oh no, sir, no. And it was like, oh, so yeah, I just, I guess I kind of wish that we got more true to the story dubs all the time. Like, I know that's not always the case, but
especially in that moment, because one paints her, she's a damsel in distress in both situations, but the dub version definitely is a lot more lighter, and a lot of the context is glazed over in comparison to the subtitle version, where you go, man, this is messed up. Tendo, like you said, he wants to save her, he wants to get her out of this situation, but yet feels very powerless, and we sort of transition almost to current day again after this situation. You can see he's a very broken man by then. They've sort of painted the picture as far as ZLM. It's a piece of crap place to work. The people are horrible. The working conditions are even worse. And everyone is just zombie shuffling their way home. And in this third year sort of retransition back, we see Tendo, he's at the train station and he's sort of thinking internally about what's going on. He's like, oh, if this rail wasn't here, I could just end it all. Like, I don't have to go back to work. He can just walk onto these train tracks and get hit, and all his problems will be over. So it starts to get really dark and dire in these moments there. You're like, man, we're going down here. Like, we've been jumping from super funny, super whimsical, quirky, some really grounded, disgusting events, and now we're looking at self-harm and suicide. Like, the tone shift was swift.
I thought it was really insane that he didn't say, I won't have to live anymore. He said, I won't have to go back to work. Like he felt so trapped by his situation that he felt like his only way to escape going back to work was by not being alive anymore. That really said so much to me about how, and there was a little commercial, I think, before that, where it talked, like, in like little subtext, it was talking about how these exploitive corporations overwork their employees on purpose to keep them from being able to like make the small decision of leaving the job. And honestly, if you're working 60, 70 hours of unpaid overtime, you're not going to be functioning at a very high mental level. And you're going to feel like the only way out is to check out. And I appreciate how honestly they painted that picture. I don't think that it's the case all the time, everywhere, for everybody, but I know especially in Japan, there is such a strong emphasis on like being a producer. Like, if you're not producing, if you're not working like every second of your available life, then you're fucking wasting space. And so, like, I really feel like that they really portrayed that very effectively, because I felt for that dude. Like, I really did.
So did I. And yeah, not only in the things that he's saying, but also the way that they've changed the color palette in this sort of transition to year 3, where we've gone from nice, vibrant, normal, realized color palette to a monotone, muted palette. Everything's in black and white. They've sort of started to grain up the frames as well. So it's not only giving me like a little subtle nod to horror movies of yesteryear, where it's black and white and grainy and gritty, but also with that muted color palette, it's just taking all the emotion, all of the joy, all of the fun out of it. And you start to sort of connect what he's saying and what he's doing into the one. And like you said, you really start to feel for his situation there, and just, I guess, everyone's situation working at ZLM there. And yeah, we get that contrast. He ends up getting back home. He finds a bill in his mailbox, realized that he hasn't paid for his monthly bike parking permit. So he goes down, disassociated with everything, just walking his way through life, goes down to the landlord to pay the bill and renew his bike lease, enters the office, and then there's this sort of situation where he's not quite sure what's going on, trying to connect the dots, because he opens the office manager's door and he finds out there's a zombie in there consuming the office manager. And you're like, hang on, what's going on? But you're starting to see the color palette change again, because all the blood has been replaced by pops of color. So we've got this black and white monotoned world, but the blood is like vibrant blues and pinks and greens and yellows. And it's just a visual feast. Like, I saw that and I'm like, man, this is awesome. It's like this fever dream going on here. Yeah. And it kind of like desensitizes the violence at the same time by putting this like cute, fun, quirky color palette over the usual, like the crimson red and everything that everyone always sees with blood. But it's all these bright, fun colors. So it sort of makes it enjoyable in a way, which is kind of weird to say when you're talking about people getting eaten alive.
Well, I think it really speaks to Tendo, because, he goes on to say, like, all of the color had been sucked out of my life. And for the first time, I'm seeing things in color again. And so he really, I really feel like this burst of adrenaline, like this, this kind of shock back into life, kind of made him see things in a completely different way. Like, the colors were so rich that it was beyond just regular color. It was like Technicolor, what he was viewing life in. And so, like, and I also love the way that they really poured on the color, and like the the not only was the color so rich, but like the detail was really rich in the illustration moving forward, to where you really felt like the care that was put into the creation of this animation just felt like you were like on a journey with this person as they were going through this thing. It didn't even, I don't know, you didn't even feel bad about him running from these zombies because he seems so very excited about it.
Yeah, he was very positive. And like you said, going on that journey, it happens very swiftly because obviously the zombie has realized that there's another human in there with some brains to consume. And so this zombie starts chasing him back out of the office. As he pops out onto the walkway, there's like a small horde of zombies. So then he's getting chased by this horde of undead. But you can see the joy and enthusiasm, like you said, the life is sort of coming back into him. Like his heart's beating again. That blood is translating through until this vibrant world that he's now realizing he's a part of. And I love there's a moment where he's running around getting chased, and Tendo has this moment of realization where he's like, you know what? If this keeps up, I'm going to be late for work. So he's still thinking about work at the same time, even though he's running for his literal life, getting chased by people that want to eat him, and he's getting chased up and down this apartment complex. And there's a gorgeous scene where he gets onto the top of the apartment complex and he's running along the rooftop. Got a horde of zombies behind him. We see a passenger jet flying through the sky on fire, about to crash, and we can see in the background, parts of downtown Tokyo are on fire and exploding, and all these like these big, vibrant, bright yellow hues and oranges and reds from the explosions. And he's still just running with the biggest grin on his face you've ever seen. And it's a weird moment, but like it's also very wholesome because you can see he's back. He's himself. He's feeling good again, even though the world around him is literally on fire.
Yeah, that moment that comes directly after that, where he states that he's for the first time in his life free. That scene is like, it represents my literal favorite moments in anime. Like those moments where there's like this emotional awakening, and then it's just amplified times 1,000 by really, really great artistry in the creation of the animation, and like the addition of like special effects elements, and like the zoom in on his face and the teardrop that is so perfectly like drawn, and like, I mean, it looks just absolutely amazing. And so it's like you're experiencing this emotional thing with them, and then it's just really pulling you into the story further with that really great animation. And I think that is like such a cool thing that it makes me cry whenever, like, I'm just like literally like, oh, that's so beautiful. Like I love those moments. That's what I'm here for.
It was stunning. Like he has that jump in there hero moment. He's like, I'm free. And then you see that whole, the remaining monotone just fade out, and it just becomes, vibrant, beautiful color explosions every which way. And it is a great moment. And Bug Films, like you said, you described it perfectly, where you see this nice tight frame and that singular positive tear run down his cheek, where he's like, the shackles are broken. Later, ZLM, you're dead to me. I'm finally living my life after 3 years of being stuck in your corporate machine. But then he has this moment where Misatani pops into his mind, and he's like, oh, you know what? I'd rather be eaten by zombies than not confess my true feelings. And I thought that was such a great line that we can relate to it in a way. Like I'm very much a hopeless romantic at heart, and I'd prefer to put my heart on the line as opposed to, I guess, be eaten by the emotional zombies by not saying those things. So I heard that line and it really resonated with me. And I'm just a sucker for romance in general. So when Tendo sort of shouted that out, I'm like, all right, I'm in. We're back on the love story track again. And so he jumps on his push bike and he's flying through downtown Japan, avoiding zombies. We get some really cool shots of like Mount Fuji, and then like the neon blood color splash over the scene. We see like a couple of shots with like CBD contrasted with zombies shuffling around. We get a cool shot of like a heap of zombies in a bathhouse, which for some reason I really loved. It was a really well drawn scene, and just sort of seeing zombies in loincloths just cracked me up for some reason.
I think I might have missed that one.
Oh really?
Yeah,
it's a good shot. It's only really quick. It's a couple of seconds, but I'm like, damn, that's a really pretty shot.
I'll have to check it back out. I've already watched it like 4 times, but I'll watch it again because I really wanted to. I'm a little bit of a tryhard. Like I really wanted to make sure that like we're talking about one episode. I wanted to make sure I had lots to offer to say about that. So I was like, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it again. I'm gonna watch it subtitled. Like I want to make sure I don't miss anything. And then somehow I still miss something.
Full spoilers, man. There ain't no try hard vibes here. You're bringing it all to the table, and I'm very thankful for it. So I appreciate your thoroughness, I guess we could say.
Yes, I'm definitely thorough, if nothing else. And I also having this situation. Like I watch so much anime that I often just like it's just like a background thing, like because it is comforting. It is like something that makes me feel like nice while I'm doing something else I don't really want to do that much. So I don't really appreciate it for what it is. And so like having this one episode as like the focus of the whole show really kind of zeroed me in on the fact that we're going to talk about this one episode. So appreciate it for what it is, like outside of the whole episode. And I really did. Like, I feel like I appreciated this one episode of anime more than anything I watched in a while because I was just like thinking about just the anime. I wasn't doing anything else. I was like, I want to actually watch this. And, somehow I still miss something. I still do have 4 kids and a wife. And so occasionally I do get interrupted. So
I can imagine. Yeah. 4 kids and a wife, as well as everything else you got going on. I'm surprised you found time to watch this twice, let alone 4 times. So hat tip to you, good sir. Hat tip to you.
Thank you.
But what we see, Akira Tendo, he makes his way to Miss Atori's apartment complex, makes his way up to her front door, and you can see the nerves set in. He's now realizing what's going on. He's about to confess his feelings to his beloved that he's been, crushing on for 3 years now. Presses the doorbell, nothing, no response. Knocks on the door, nothing. Grabs the door handle, and the door opens up. And it's such an ominous trope in any type of media where you go, oh, the door's unlocked, you're going in, no doubt there's bad things awaiting you on the other side of this door. And he opens the door, and lo and behold, who do we see? The big, fat, nasty, sex-offending CEO from ZLM in her apartment complex. And I love that, like, he was already grotesque and repulsive and appalling. You can see he's just a very creepy, gross man.
Yeah.
But in this scene here where he's already been bitten, he starts to sort of devolve. I don't know what would be the right way to say, but he grows and starts pulsing, and his body becomes more contorted and just more unsettling. And then he's vomiting everywhere, but the vomit color is like this shade of blue, which is really cool. And it just really embodies how much of a disgusting human being this guy is, both in life and in death. And I was all for that moment.
Yeah, and I like the fact that they didn't let him maintain any like level of like respect. Like he was, he turned from like, this powerful CEO into like a bloated, decrepit, like fumbling zombie who's like running in place on this like this spilled water and is like slipping around like one of the Three Stooges. And I was like really appreciative of the fact that they like stripped him of that like, that honor. Like he didn't deserve that. But Tendo being Tendo never accepted that lack of respect. He kept complete decorum the entire time he addressed him. And I thought that was like so indicative of this character that we're learning about, is that he doesn't care about what you've done or what you're doing. If you are in a position where you are given that honor, he's going to give it to you. He's going to treat you as you deserve it. He's just, one of those people who just really wants to be good. So he kind of follows the rules. And as much as that's, it can be kind of sad at times, it also is really cool to see somebody who's like, as he's about to push the zombie out of the fucking window, is still talking to him like he is, like, has got the utmost respect for him and is, I appreciate your time and the fostering that you gave me while, I worked in your care and blah, blah. And he just pushes him out the window because he's got to kill him or else he's going to kill him. And yeah, I love the whole character development of him.
It's such a cool scene because Tendo's sitting there and he's dropping this great speech, and he's completely respectful towards the CEO, even though the CEO doesn't demand a penny worth of respect. He's a piece of crap.
Yeah.
But he gives him this great speech, like you said. He's thankful for taking a chance on him, and he resigns so respectfully, like he's quitting his job. He's letting him know, today's my last day. Sorry, sir. I need to take control back of my life. And yeah, then he sort of does this big charge in hero moment. We get one of those really tight shots where he sort of like bends down into the runner's sprinter stance, and we get like the momentum burst flying out that we see. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're leaning down this sort of like these hero-y trope moments, but it adds some really cool context and just elevates that, yeah, he is having this first moment where he's ascending to heroism, and he pushes the CEO out of the window. And this scene as well, it is gorgeous because we get this transition where we're going from simplified black and white line work from like a manga panel, and we see the CEO in his fat zombie-like state free-falling multiple stories down. And we get these random like glass panels of like people cheering on what's happening. Like we're sort of breaking reality for a second there, and then it transitions back into reality, I guess you could say.
So what I just figured out is that this was a reference to Tendo's rugby days. He was a rugby player.
Oh yeah, he was.
And so that was a rugby tackle that he rugby tackled his boss out of the window. And so that was just like his college days where people were cheering him on. Those were all the people cheering the tackle. That like I just put that all together.
That's so great. Yeah, I didn't connect those dots, but that makes perfect sense now, because I was just about to ask him, like, do you know who were in those little glass cheer panels? But that makes so much more sense now. It's gone back to him being a star on the rugby field, and having the crowd erupt due to this awesome tackle he's done. But yeah, you see the CEO and he free falls, and then when the zombie body hits the ground, it just erupts. Like the blood splatter from this one is everywhere, but it's still beautiful because they're still using that crazy fever dreamy color palette anytime there's blood and guts on the screen, but it just works so well.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. It was like I really appreciate how much work and detail they went into with each of these like big scenes. Like it never went unnoticed, because it's like you've got this big emotional scene, and every time they delivered with this, this beautifully like thought artwork, and I just love that.
It's stunning. And it's something like the word stunning you wouldn't use often with zombies and blood and guts, but just the way it's drawn and the way it's animated, like, oh my God, I love it. It's some of the prettiest stuff I've seen in a good long while. Yeah. And speaking of pretty, we then shift back to the apartment, and he realized, he's here to see Mr. Tori and profess his love. And so after the big CEO explosion, he notices Mr. Tori in her bedroom, but then the tears start flowing because he realizes she's already been turned. So the dirty, grimy CEO has gone there, no doubt. He was already infected, bitten Mr. Tori. She is now zombified. But it's such a beautiful moment because, the tears are rolling, but he professes his love back to her, and we get that flower petal moment like we do in their first interaction. So it sort of goes full circle, where it's the first and last meeting they have together, and he still sees her just as beautiful and just as perfect, and pours his heart out to her, but obviously she's undead, so she wants to eat him. So
it was really heartbreaking for me, because like I didn't expect him to get it's not a movie, like this was just the first episode of a season. I didn't expect him to get the girl in the first episode, but I did not expect her to be a zombie. Like maybe I was being a little, maybe I was being romantic in that moment, thinking like, maybe she'll just not be there, and, they'll get connected sometime later on. But to see her in that zombified state was just like, it was really heartbreaking. And I really felt for Tendo, and, then him once again to be Tendo as he is, and still to, make that confession to a zombie as she stands there is really interesting, and I really like appreciate his characters. Just like, I'm still going to make the confession because it's something I want to do, and I'm going to do what I want to do now.
Yeah, it's really nice, and I guess it's the pre-bucket list checklist before he starts his bucket list, where he's like, I'm going to follow through with this. I'm going to confess my feelings, and I'm in complete agreement with you. Like I'm optimistic in just about everything, and like I touched on earlier, a bit of a hopeless romantic. So I assumed that he would get the girl eventually, and him and Miss Tori would live a happy life, as happy as you can in a zombie apocalypse. But I thought, she'd either be hiding in the bathroom or she's escaped already, and it would be the journey of Tendo trying to find her throughout this season. But no, they went, you know what? No, she's gone. She's dead already. She's zombified, and she wants she might have wanted his heart up until now, but now she wants his brains. And so he confesses the love, and then he says goodbye to her, and he acknowledged that this is his first love, says see you later, and then escapes. And then it sort of flashes forward to a few hours ahead of time, and it's now evening. Tendo is sort of drinking an energy drink out the front of a convenience store, just reflecting on what's happened, reflecting on his new life. And then we start to get the lead in. We get the outro track starting to play, which is also a banger. It's funny because we've got Happiness of the Dead and then Song of the Dead are the open and close tracks of Zom 100. But yeah, we start to hear those beats roll in, and then Tendo has this moment where he's like, you know what? Life is short. I don't know what's going to happen, so I need to sort of maximize my time left before I get bitten. And we see him go back into the convenience store. We see him grab a pen or a marker, grabs a notebook, and gets to work on what will be his bucket list of 100 things to do. And then the credits roll of episode 1, and you're like, damn, that was a hell of a ride, and I want more right now.
Yeah. I thought it was really interesting that he was less excited about just like having an endless world of possibilities than he was just about the fact that he didn't have to go to work. He's like, I don't have to go to work now. And since I don't have to go to work, what am I going to do? I guess since I don't have to go to work and I can do whatever I want, now I'm going to make a list of things that I can do instead of just being like, I can do whatever I want now. He's still trying to release that mindset of being a zombie to the corporation. And, I've continued to watch on, and like, I think that his growth is interesting, and I very much enjoy the show. Like, I'm really glad that you suggested it, because I don't know if I was like, it looked interesting. I liked the artwork. I was like, maybe, I don't know, but like, I'm really glad I watched it.
I love that. So I guess we can sort of scratch that question off the list. You've watched beyond episode 1. Are you up to date? Have you watched all 9 episodes to now, or are you a few episodes back?
I think I'm 1 episode back, because I think on Crunchyroll the last dubbed episode is 8,
correct. Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse, the sort of staggered rollout from dub compared to sub. So yeah, it's so great. I'm not going to spoil anything, but all I'm just going to say is I'm going to say shark, because that was like absurd.
It was so ridiculous. Absurd. It was perfectly ridiculous though. It was like absolutely out of nowhere. Did not see it coming, but I thought it was perfect. Like, I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah, and just the way they juggle tonal shift in this anime is very special. Like the light and the dark humor, the really heartfelt moments, the real heavy emotional moments. It's just really expertly done. And yeah, Bug Films, like, I'm all about what they're doing. Like, this is their first major solo endeavor, and they've stuck the landing so far expertly. So I can't wait to see how this season ends up and where the story goes. I haven't read any of the manga, but I really want to probably buy it and start diving in, because when I get engrossed in a world or in a franchise, my brain is like, I need it all now. And as much as I'd love to just wait season by season for the anime to come out, I'm like, no, I'm probably going to buy the manga, whether it be physical or digital, and just consume it as quickly as possible, because I need to know what happens to Tendo. I need to know what happens in this world, because I love everything about it.
Yeah, and what you were saying about like them really kind of being in a roller coaster of emotions, I think that they allow you to appreciate the different kinds of emotions before they don't cheapen it by like making a funny moment whenever something dark has just happened. Like you get to sit in that for a second and feel sad that that his romantic interest got turned into a zombie. Like, that doesn't just go make a funny moment like immediately after that. You get to feel that for a few moments, and then then he gets to something else, and then there's kind of a moment of happiness, and you get to feel that happiness for a little while, and then it's never cheapened by like, let's make a humorous joke to like, so it's not too scary or it's not too dark, or it really lets you really do get to enjoy a roller coaster of emotions through just the first episode that on its own.
Yeah, it's one of the best first episodes or pilot episodes I've watched of a new anime in a good long while, because it delivers on everything. It gives you enough storytelling. It gives you enough context of the world. You get to understand these characters enough to care about them or feel something towards them, whether that be good, bad, or otherwise. And it's just fun and unique and memorable in all the right ways. And like you said, I like that the pacing, it gives enough time to be respectful and let those big moments breathe. It's not just like big moment, big moment, big moment. Yeah. It's a big moment, couple of seconds to let it hit, and really impact you in a bigger way, and then they keep the story moving forward from there. Like, it is very, very expertly directed, and yeah, I'm such a fan of this show. And I cannot wait to see where they take it from here, because we've got a few more episodes left in season 1 to go. It is getting that weekly drop, so it's not too late to jump on board, listeners, if you are keen to check out something new, because it's one of the best new anime of 2023 in my humble opinion so far. But I guess, Bruce, what was sort of your favorite moment, favorite scene, or just what did you like most about this first episode of Zom 100?
Yeah, like, not to be too cheesy, I will be a little cheesy, because I really feel like this person is living the journey that I want to take people on. Like, he's, going from being that zombie to really starting to step into his authentic life. And so, like, I thought it was such a synchronous thing that you suggested this specific this specific anime for us to watch for your podcast, because I was like, this really feels like I was meant to see this, because this guy is going through exactly the situation that I mean, minus the zombies. Like, I would definitely leave the zombie part out, but the idea of like leaving behind something that, even though he didn't really choose to leave it behind, like the zombie apocalypse happened and he had to choose to start a new life. Like, that's kind of how my situation was. Like, I left the fire department because I was put in a situation where either I was going to have to completely sacrifice myself or I needed to leave. And that was like, so it's like, yes, it was my choice, but not really. But it was my choice to take that and choose to build a new life for myself on it. And I feel like that's what he did. And so, like, I really love that about him. But specifically, my favorite scene was that scene on top of the roof whenever he says, and for the first time in my life, I'm free. Just everything came together in that moment, and the art and the storyline and everything was just so impactful. And I was just like, yes, this show it's fire. I'm in for it.
Hell yeah. I don't think you could get better feedback than that, listeners, because if that doesn't push you to check out Zom 100, I don't know what will, because yeah, it's such a great story. It's gorgeous. The soundtrack is great. The tone and the tonal shift is just it's just thumbs up, chef's kiss, all the positive base references we can throw at it right now. It is well worth your time. And if you're still on the fence and you wanted a couple of other comps that sort of, I guess, tonally or fit into this world as well, other ones, if you've checked out, High School of the Dead, Undead Unluck, Bongo Stray Dogs, as far as 3 anime, if you've watched up until now and you enjoyed them, there's a fair chance you will enjoy Zom 100 because it is so good. But we might jump into the last word, which is presented by our friends over at Japan Crate. Experience Japan through snacks and knickknacks via monthly package drops, courtesy of japancrate.com. And while you're there, be sure to use code 8bit15 at checkout to save yourself 15% off your Japan Crate, as well as free shipping to you, no matter where you are in the world. But Bruce, what is your last word on Zom 100, Bucket List of the Dead?
Watch it. I think that you should. Like, if you're an anime fan, like, you should watch it. It's definitely not your typical zombie anime. Like, I would definitely say that. It's definitely got, especially having watched further down, it's got much more story, much more depth, much more emotion of all kinds. And, there's laughs, there's cries, there's, it's got all this stuff. Like, it really does. It hits all my points. If I wanted to suggest an anime to somebody, it would definitely be in my top 5 to suggest right now. So yeah, love it.
Yeah, I also love it. And just sort of jumping on the back of what Bruce just said, yeah, the assortment of characters you meet along the way during this 9-episode journey so far, there's a diverse cast. They're all coming from different walks of life, and you can relate and feel for a lot of the characters you meet along the way. There's a few that you despise, and that's for story purposes anyway, but like, for the most part, it is a great journey. This 9 episodes at time of recording has been very enjoyable, and yeah, it's been one of the best viewing experiences I've had, not just in the anime space, but just in the media space as a whole in 2023. And yeah, it's on Crunchyroll, and it's also on Netflix, which is cool. So if you maybe new to anime and you don't have a Crunchyroll or a Funimation or a High Dive subscription, don't worry, because it's available right there on Netflix, getting released simultaneously on both of those platforms. So you can check it out in between watching You or Love is Blind or whatever nonsense you're checking out. So
are you in my watch list? It's my wife.
Mine too,
it's
so
my
I can't
wife.
say.
Don't judge me.
My watch lists are like, I wouldn't say embarrassing, because like you said, I own my fandom and I own my hobbies and my interests, and it's taken a long while to, I guess, accept that. And anyone that's still having a little bit of trouble with that, do yourselves a favor and head over to AuthenticIdentityManagement.com, arrange a chat with Bruce, because he can help you on that journey and make you feel a little bit more comfortable in this beautiful skin that you're living in right now. But man, thank you so much for stopping on by and riffing anime with me. It's been a fantastic chatting about it. Had a good time. How you doing?
Yeah, man, I loved it. This was absolutely fantastic. I could talk anime all day long. I would prefer to watch some of it also. So I know that we can't talk forever, but I had a great time, and I appreciate you letting me be on your platform and talk a little bit about what I do. And also, like, thank you for making it normal to talk about anime, because it's not just something that you do alone in your basement anymore. It's great. Yeah. There are a lot of people who like it, and a lot more who will like it if they just open up to it.
Exactly. We can do it alone in our basements, together in our basements. We can do it on a podcast. We can do it at a park. We can do it everywhere. Like whatever you're into, don't let anybody yuck your yums is the main thing, like that's what you love. That's a part of you, and embrace that and share that beautiful content with the world. But speaking of beautiful content, Bruce, where can people find you and all the fantastic things you do?
Firstly, I'd love for podcast listeners out there to check out my podcast. It's called Authentic on Air with Bruce Alexander, and it is on all major podcast platforms, at least over here. Over there, that's the same: Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Samsung Podcasts, all that stuff. So I'd love for you to check that out. Also, you can follow me on my social media platforms, which I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook at Authentic Identity Management. And my personal accounts on Instagram is Beef Wayne, and on Facebook is just Bruce Alexander. And I'm always looking to add new friends to really grow my world, and also learn about other people who are either struggling with authenticity and would like to tell their story on my podcast, or have started to live that authentic life and are proud of what they're doing and want to share their story. So either way, like, I'm always looking to just meet new people and kind of grow my circle.
Hell yeah. And listeners, all the direct links to find Bruce and all the fantastic things he does will be in the show notes. So just click on through and send him a request, because I'm sure he'd be happy to chat about you with all things regarding identity management, authenticity management, and also anime. Maybe we can sort of compare fantastic anime shirts. We can get a thread going to see who's got the best shirt. You win today, because that Deku shirt is fantastic. But I'll be back bigger, better, badder, and stronger with my next shirt. So don't you worry. But yeah, listeners, that brings us to the end of another episode of More Than Hentai. Thank you so much for stopping on by. Be sure to rate, review, subscribe us, as well as all the other podcasts you listen to on the regular. Those ratings and reviews mean the world to us. Whether your anime be subbed, dubbed, or still yet to come, enjoy yourself, stay hungry, and much love to all the gorgeous waifus out there. Goodbye.